I'm Gary Vadney. I'm your host today. I'm a senior sales executive, and today we have Barbara Archer with us. She is one of our Dynamics SL senior consultants. She has just about over 20 years experience with Dynamics, and she's really an accomplished solution architect for Microsoft Dynamics SL. In fact, she's really our go-to team member for anything SL or third-party related. Barbara currently works in our support department, where she plays a critical role in expediting open cases to resolution. Today's overview, we'll be taking a look, of course, at the Dynamics SL CU1 new features in the web apps. And then we'll be talking a little bit about some best practices if you plan to upgrade to SL 2015. And then we have some Microsoft news, and we'll end it with some questions and answers. But first, we'll just take a moment and talk a little bit about SIS. And most of you know SIS delivers industry-focused software solutions that enable our customers to achieve financial and operational excellence. We're over 20 years old. We're headquartered just outside of Atlanta, Georgia, and our industry focus is the AEC and professional services industries. Our products are integrated business solutions powered by Microsoft, with Microsoft Dynamics SL and AX at its core. We've also worked with Microsoft SharePoint, where we've developed a document management product specifically for the construction industry. We did the same thing with Microsoft CRM, where we have Navigator, which manages the sales processes for the AEC industry, and a lot of other overlays that we've done. And as you look at our solutions, all of them are tailored to the AEC industry. And with that, I'm now to turn over to Barbara, and she'll go over the technical session we have planned for you today.
Good afternoon, everybody. Let's review our agenda for this afternoon. I'm going to do an overview of Dynamics SL web apps. I'm going to talk about the architecture, as well as customizing them and configuring them. And then we're going to review the existing Dynamics SL CU1 web apps. And then I'm going to show you the roadmap for the web apps, so you'll know what's coming down the road. One important thing to keep in mind with Dynamics SL 2015, the web apps are replacing Business Portal. This is critical for you to be aware of, because if you're currently using Business Portal, you're going to have to move to web apps when you upgrade. The web app's initial focus was on the key areas that existed in Business Portal. In other words, time entry, expense entry, approvals, setting up projects and assigning resources, and project analysis. The system requirements for web apps, you're going to need Windows Server 2008 R2 or Windows Server 2012. You're going to need IIS Server 7.x or greater. We're going to need an SL Web App Secure Site with an SSL certificate from a recognized provider. You're going to need, for the SQL Server, we're going to need our Windows Server 2008 R2 plus 2012. SQL Server 2012 or 2014. I know some of you may be on SQL Server 2008. We're going to want you to upgrade when you move to 2015. Our database will be in SL 2015, and we will have SSRS Report Server installed. We have built-in customizing in web apps. The figure on the left shows how we controlled what the users would see in Business Portal when they enter their time and expense. In web apps, that is controlled in that figure on the right. That figure on the right is actually a handheld device. That's what it looks like. It could either be a tablet or a smartphone. The web apps are assigned access rights, so you can do it by company, by user, or by group. And we have visible, enable, required, and default. So we can hide fields so that people don't have to access it. This is an additional way to further fine-tune what the users see. So if there's something that your company does not use, we can certainly hide that so they can't see it. So what are web services? Oh, sorry, the devices that your web services are available on, you can do it from a desktop, you can do it from a tablet, or you can do it from a smartphone. The only requirement is that the web browser can support HTML5, and the platforms can be iOS, Android, Windows, and Mac. So this slide represents the existing SL 2015 CU1 web apps. And you can see that we have quite a few of them, and we're going to review most of these. All right, so this is the menu that users see upon logging into the web app. So basically the way they log into a web app is you go to a website, so we can put it on their favorites, configure their tablets and their phone with favorites. And the user, depending upon their access rights, will see these groups of modules. So we have the project module, we have the resource management module, we have inventory, requisitions, payroll. And now payroll, keep in mind, if you are going to be using payroll, you would not be using project. So basically, you would enter your time in projects if you are using projects, but if you are not using projects, you would enter your time in payroll. So the menus collapse, and this is I just clicked on the project menu, and it shows you all the options you have under project. And as you see, we have time card entry, expense entry, approvals, project maintenance, employee position and rate maintenance, employee and resource maintenance, and project analyst. Now, not all of your users are going to need all of these. Most of your users will only have time card entry and expense entry. Project managers would have the project analyst. The project time entry screen looks like this. When you go to add a new row in a timesheet, so basically you start your timesheet, and when you go to add a new row, it asks you, do you want to choose an assignment? What that means is with the resource assignment capability of Dynamics SL, you have the ability to, by project or by resource, assign employees to specific projects and tasks. So if I'm an employee and I'm assigned to 3 different projects and maybe 10 different tasks, if I click the assigned button, I will see all of the projects and tasks I'm assigned to, and I can pick them just by a click instead of having to enter the project and enter the task. Your daily totals, they keep track of your daily totals at the bottom of the screen, as you can see here. So that way you don't lose track of everything. And then, of course, it gives you your weekly total as well. Your daily details can be drilled down on just by clicking on that daily detail. So if I wanted to look at Wednesday, I would just click on that daily detail down in the lower right-hand corner. Now, project expense entry. This one really excites me because I did some testing with it, and it works really, really well. When you enter your expense report, you can attach at each line or at the header level, depends on how you want to do it, your receipts. And the receipts, what you do is you take your smartphone or tablet and you take a picture of the receipt, and then what you do to attach it is you browse to the photo and you select it and attach it to the appropriate line item. Now that one really has me excited because no more fooling around with paper receipts. It's a beautiful thing. Love, love, love that. Now, project approvals. Not everybody will have this, but the people who are in charge of approving time and expense will have the ability to go to project approvals, and they will be able to see all of the information for which they need to do approvals. They can open this up and drill down on it, and they can also look at the notes and attachments. So if they want to look at the expense receipts, they can very easily just click that button. So the employees can, as I said before, they can attach notes at the line item level or at the document header level. So you see we have notes in both places. One thing I did want to mention, in your GoToMeeting panel, there is an area for you to type questions, and there's also a chat area, so you can type questions there as well, because we are going to have a QA session at the end of this presentation. So if you have any questions that you think of as we're going along, just type it in there and we'll get to it as soon as we're done with the presentation. Now, if you're an approver, let's say you're going to go on vacation next week and you need to approve budgets and expenses and invoices. Well, you want to be able to delegate your employees so that somebody will go ahead and approve their time and expenses for them while you're gone. So the screen here is called Delegate Project Approvals. So you go in here, you delegate to either an employee or a manager, and you select the user that you want to do the approver, and you put the start date and the through date. Now, what happens during that time when an employee submits a budget or an expense report or an invoice, you will get a notification. In addition to you getting the notification, the person that you've delegated to will get the notification. Once you are back and the through date has been met, the notification to the delegate will turn off, so it will no longer do that anymore. They added some new keys, navigation keys, to this release. The CU2 release, just for those of you who don't know, is in reality, it's the third release of web apps. The first release came out with SL 2011 Feature Pack 1, and then there was a group of them that came out with 2015 when that product was released. And then CU1 was a separate release, and they're working on new releases, and when we get to the roadmap, I'll explain when the other releases will be coming. So we have a back button which takes you back a screen. This home menu button takes you to the actual main menu that you saw when we first logged in. And then the quick access to menu is the same thing as the home menu. It's nice, keeps it simple. It's easy for users to understand. Project maintenance. I don't know, a lot of people don't like to let their employees do project maintenance via the web. I mean, most of the companies that I work with prefer to have the accounting folks set the projects up because they want to be sure that it's set up correctly. You do have the ability here to access project maintenance online in this screen, as you can see, and everything is in one screen, basically. So they just scroll down and they can see everything. It's nice if you are the person doing the actual project setups. You can do it on your tablet. Now, Project Analyst, as you can see here, for those of you familiar with Business Portal, this looks very similar to Business Portal. It shows you the different projects, and when you expand next to the project ID, it shows you the details for that project. And from there, you can go to project net profit as well as task net profit. In addition, down here where you see the blue numbers, those are links that allow you to drill down to the details behind the numbers that you're seeing there. It looks very similar to the Business Portal Project Analyst, and it's very nice. It's useful for project managers who are sitting on the job site. Now, employee and resource maintenance, This is a doubtful one. I can't see very many people allowing people in the field access to employees, to set up employees into the system. This is generally going to be a back office thing, but still an accounting person can go ahead and use the web apps instead of using the fact client, because the web app license is cheaper, which we're going to get to a little bit later, than an actual fact client license. Another brand new thing with this release is they have completely web-enabled the employee utilization module. I don't know how many of you are using the employee utilization module, but it's a very, very useful module. And I personally think that the module in the web-enabled form is much more user-friendly, and I think it's more robust. So it may be something that you might want to think about for the future. This particular screen here is where we define the utilization periods. So we have the period number, the start and the end date, and you notice we're doing this by week. And the number of available hours, the goal percentage, the goal hours, the goal bill rate, and the goal revenue. Most people don't care so much about the revenue, but they care about the hours. You don't have to use the revenue part of it. Now, when you're planning your projects, you have the ability to assign resources by project, which is what this screen is. Basically, you select your project, and it will show you the resources you've already assigned. And then we also select your task. This particular task we're looking at is planning and project management. So what you're seeing in the bottom are available resources, and the system goes out and it looks for who is assigned to what, and it looks to what their total committed hours are, and it will display in the bottom here who's available to be assigned, who has the time to work on this project. This is a very nice feature, and not a lot of people are using it. I think everybody should really look into it because it's a really great feature, and it gives you a great visibility into who is doing what. Now, another way you can do your resource planning is to do it by person. So I can pull up a specific individual, and you can see week by week the hours available and the hours assigned. So if you need to fill in his time, you simply need to look at the different projects and tasks that are available for assignment. So these are the assigned hours here, and then at the bottom are tasks that are available. It's a really, really nice feature, and it's very robust. Now, for those of you who use requisitions, inventory lookup can be a really helpful thing. You have the ability to, via web app, do an inventory inquiry to see if you have, the part, how many of what kind of parts you might need to get on a job. So this gives you the ability to do a lookup to see what kind of quantities you have available, followed by the item request entry. The item request entry in both Business Portal and web apps works in conjunction with the requisition module. And the way that it works is the item request is entered, so they're basically requesting parts with quantities. They can take a guess as to what the cost is going to be, or they can just leave it blank. The item request will go through tiered levels of approval if that's what you need, or it can just go to one person for approval. And then the purchasing people gather the item requests by the type of material onto a requisition so they can create RFPs for RFQs, requests for quotation, to the vendors, so you can get discounted rates by having all these item requests on one requisition, because they probably come from similar vendors. So that's why they did the logic behind the item request to requisition piece. So once it becomes a rec, then we have the ability to send out multiple requests for quotations to multiple vendors. And then when it comes back in, you can award that purchase order to that vendor. So that's how the requisition piece works in Dynamics SL. Now, for those of you who don't do projects, this is what the payroll time entry screen looks like. As you can see, it's pretty simple. We have the date, we have the employee ID, we have the company, all this stuff defaults in actually. And they go ahead and they enter their time in. It's pretty simple. Now, those of you who are already on SL 2011 are familiar with Quick Query. For those of you who are not on 2011, let me explain what Quick Query is. Quick Query is simply a collection of views that were created that contain information that you need for ad hoc type reporting. And an example would be there's one for AP documents. So you can open that Quick Query up and it will show you all AP documents, and then you can very easily filter that query to give you vouchers where the document amount is greater than $500, or the vendor is equal to such and such a vendor, so you'll just get that vendor. And once you have the data as you want it, there's an Excel button right on the query at the top. You click that and it dumps the data right into a nice Excel spreadsheet for you. You have the same ability in web apps, and you have the same ability to export to Excel, provided that you have Excel on your, although you know the iOS has Excel viewers, so you have the ability to look at things in Excel in iOS. But like your tablets, some of the Android tablets, I think you can have Microsoft Office on some of those. Now, they also added the reporting, report operator interface, which is what ROI means, so that you can run reports from your handheld, provided that you have the access rights to run those reports. So as you can see this, we have several AP agings there that were done at different times. So basically, you just open it up, you you have your select options, and they actually have English names for the fields, so you don't have to guess at what that field name means like you used to in SL 2011 and prior. And then it will run it and print preview right to your screen. And we're back to access rights again. And the access rights really are going to be the key in your setup. You want to make sure that the people who need what they need have what they need. But doing groups is a very good way to do it. It makes it much simpler. That's pretty much the way we do it in Dynamics SL. So doing it the same way in web apps is probably the way that would be the best. The nice thing is, you notice that we do have a default option. So if there's a particular piece of information that you want in any of the web app screens, we can make it required. And we can set defaults for specific pieces of information if it's always going to be that. So you can save people data entry time. We can key in what the default needs to be. But the required field is very nice. You notice that in this figure, the contract number is required. So that if somebody sets up a project, they're going to have to put a contract number in there. Otherwise, it will not let them save. Now, let's talk about the licensing requirements. The web apps require a Dynamics SL light user license. And the light user license is much, much less expensive than a regular Dynamics SL user. that works within the application. In addition to that, we need a Microsoft Dynamics SL Web Service registration key. And we can't forget the Microsoft SQL Server licenses. So let's say that you're going to have 50 time and expense web app users. We need to make sure that your SQL Server has enough cows for those additional 50 users. We can help you with that if you have any questions about the licensing. So here's our Dynamics SL roadmap. And as you can see, we are in 2015, first half, and we have all these web apps, which we just looked at, the resource planning, the project and employee utilization, and the budgeting, item request, and payroll time entry. The second half of 2015, there are two really important, the really important screen that we have that's going to be enabled for web apps is project timesheet, also known as crew timesheet. So if you're on a job site, you can take the crew timesheets and just key them in at the end of each day if you need to. Totally available, and that's scheduled to be released in late Q3 or Q4. So the plan going forward is to have functionality releases every 6 months. So each year they're going to have two. Next year they'll have 2 releases. This year they already had 2. So we have the CU1, which we just looked at, and then CU2 is coming near the end of the year. So they are available now, and we'd love to help you get them all set up. Just let us know. Now let's talk about the best practices for upgrading to Dynamics SL. The first thing you want to do is we want to plan everything. So we want to create an upgrade plan with SIS and your team, and then we're going to do a customization and environmental review to make sure that everything is up to snuff for the new release. We want to make sure the SL user accounts are up to date. We want to get rid of any users that are no longer there. And now this next one is kind of it's important, but it's not that easy. You have to try to determine the possible known and unknown snafus that can occur. So we have to identify known issues or known concerns, and then we have to try to anticipate the unknown concerns. We will work with you to set up a test environment, and then you will work with us to get all your customizations backed up. You want to check your warranty on all your servers, and if you're going to web app, you have to be sure that you have a current SSL certificate from a recognized provider. Then we move into test mode, and what we do is we test all processes. So we have user acceptance testing, where they go through and they do all their daily processes and make sure that everything works the way it's supposed to work. And that process can take anywhere from, I don't know, 3 or 4 days to 3 weeks. It just depends on how many users you have. And then finally what we do is we do a sign-off where everybody's happy with the testing, and then we make a decision about whether or not we're going to go live or we're not going to go. And then we will go live. Now, one of the things that everybody should be aware of is the 2015 Dynamics SL User Group Fall Conference. It's in San Antonio in September 16 to 18, and the registration ends the end of this month, so the regular registration. So you can save $30 if you register before July 31st. For those of you who have not been there, this is a great user conference. They have third-party vendors there. They have very interesting sessions, and you leave there with a lot of knowledge that you never had when you first got there. Additionally, you have the ability to talk with other users in similar industries and and knowledge share, and get some good ideas about how to use Dynamics SL in ways that you never thought about. So we have Dynamics SL training videos, okay? We have the project series, we have the financials, and we have the introduction to 2015. These are available at these website links, and in your control panel, go to meeting, we have a downloads area. And contained in the downloads area is this PowerPoint in a PDF format and the Dynamics SL system requirements. So be sure to download those documents before the session is over. So if you're ready to upgrade or you need more information, feel free to contact Debbie Peavy, or you can contact me for any additional questions you may have. My email address is b as in boy archer, ARCHER, @SISN.com. And that concludes the presentation, and we'll move into questions. Gary?
I'm waiting for the questions.
No questions? No questions, anybody? Come on, out of all these people, there has to surely be some questions.
One question's coming in is, what is the general time frame of an upgrade to Dynamics SL 2015?
It depends on, there's a number of things. It depends on how many customizations you have and how complex they are. If you have minor screen customizations, then, I mean, it's fairly easy to do. If we're going to need to take all the business portal users and get them set up in web apps, that's an additional, that's going to take us some time. So we can pretty much tell once we sit down and go over your whole setup, what we'll do is come up with an estimate of how long it's going to take. But I mean, it can take as little as 3 days or 4 days to 2 to 3 weeks, depending upon how complex it is.
Okay. I apologize. We have questions, but the panel is not.
Barbara,
if
there's
you
a few
field
questions
service
here.
and employees. Yes.
Okay, Debbie.
If you use field service and project and employees enter time and expense in the time and expense web app screen, can they select a service ID, service call ID, as well as a project ID, or can they only select a project?
The service employees are separate from the project employees, as the current architecture has dictated. They have not changed that yet. So at this point in time, they could, if the IDs were the same, yeah, they could do it. If the project employee was the same, they could enter time against a project in web apps, if that was what the question was.
And another question is, can we load the web app software now and test it and possibly run it parallel to the business portal before we upgrade to 2015?
Yes, that would be the suggested way that we would do it for you. Basically, we would set up the test environment, get web apps set up over there, or take your existing database as of whatever time period, upgrade it, get everything set up, and then have people do their time in one place and then have them do their time in the other place. And then we'd be able to trace it all through. Not a lot of people, but, you know, several different types of employees, like approvers and project managers and regular employees, et cetera, so that we get a cross-section of all your different employee types.
And another question that's come in is, do you know if there will be additional web services available with 2015?
There will, at the second half of this year, they're coming out with another group of them. The one that I'm positive about is the project timesheet also known as crew timesheet. I know that's coming out, but there are going to be some others as well.
Another question is, how easy is it to customize the layout? Can we change colors?
The color changing is easy. That's an option. Remember on the main menu at the bottom, there was an options, and I said, if you open options, each user has the ability to make his screen look the way he wants it to a certain degree. In other words, you can pick whatever color you want your screen to look.
Another question is, what's the process for upgrading customization? Is there a tool for that?
The way we upgrade customizations is we have a development team, and they use what's called the SDK toolkit, and they basically recompile the customization if it's a complex one, and we put that in test environment and make sure that everything works the way it's supposed to work. Some customizations will automatically upgrade, and those are usually the simple ones. But if you have a complex customization, the way we like to do it is we like to have our development team look at them, because they're usually the ones that wrote them, and let them upgrade it with the SDK.
And the last question is, I'm assuming this means, are there associated setup fees? And I'm assuming they mean upgrade fees.
Well, we have the light user license. Okay, that's something that we need to look into, and the web app registration key. Because I'm not a salesperson, I don't know what that costs. They don't let me know anything about prices. I'm strictly technical. They keep me away from prices.
A couple more questions. Do you know if the crew timesheet will have clock in, clock out functionality, or is it merely manual entry?
It's going to be manual entry, because the way a crew timesheet is right now is somebody enters it for multiple people. You do have the ability to use time, key in the in and out time, though. It's just a matter of how you set it up.
And this question, I just want to let everyone know that I'll be sending out the PowerPoint and the link to the recording of this webinar probably tomorrow morning. So, and then you have the 3 handouts here on the screen.
Yeah, everybody, don't forget to get your handouts. But if you didn't get them, just email Debbie, and she'll be happy to send them to you.
That's absolutely. And I believe, unless there's some more questions, we'd love to answer them for you.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us on this customer webinar series. Have a great evening.